Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another game. I hope you're not sick of his name. Anton, you're going to be hearing it a lot because I decided that I'm going to make this into a little series called Path to Platinum. Where, well, as you can probably guess, we try to follow Anton's path to Platinum. But first, we're going to talk about his opponent here in the top right-hand corner of the map. I'm trying to turn on caster mode. We're going to get there. This is my second match of Age of Empires casted ever, so, bear with me. Bear with me. His name, RogueTrdr. Have to assume. TRDR, He's French, he's purple, and he's in the top right here on what appears to be Dry Arabia. In the bottom left, his opponent, the green, the Ottoman. I keep doing the button to rotate. You might have seen this if you saw game 1. In StarCraft, it's insert delete to rotate. In Ages, it's not. He's at 7 supply. He's Ottoman. He's Anton. All right. Let's have a little fun with this. I don't know how long this game is. I'm glad that I can't see that. I just looked up at the top to look, because if you were ever a StarCraft fan, you might remember that you had to click a button. It was not hidden by default. You had to click a button to hide the length of a replay, which as a caster was really irritating because it was a spoiler just to click the button to make it not a spoiler. It wasn't very helpful. But welcome to the game. We're going to see, what happens here as Age of Empires, it's a very different beast than StarCraft. It's one of the things I was learning casting that first match. The early game is where you really feel the difference. There's a lot of things you can cast in life. My fiance, wifey poo, just asked me if I would cast a cat, our cat, and I told her, well, give me something to cast, give me some footage, and then yeah, sure, I'll cast it. I'm gonna regret that, I think. Might regret that, but Ages, it's a totally different beast because in the early game there's really not a lot to talk about except scouting patterns. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at, oh god, what did I just, oh, that was the regular UI. I'm sorry guys, I swear, I spent so many times professionally casting, I feel, so unprofessional when I do things like misclick my UI. So you're gonna have to bear with me, and if you don't, that's fine. Find a channel with somebody who's really good at their job. I'm not. I'm just good at talking. So here's a scouting pattern for RogueTrdr. He decides to skew off to the side here, not really contest those early sheep. Maybe he was a little late, and if you're late with your scout, if you know you're sending your scout out late, that's totally appropriate. Just try not to get spotted by your opponent's scout. If we take a look at Anton, and go into detail about that if you want, comment, let me know. We could talk about why that's scouting decision if you're late with your scout. Maybe you're Silver League and you just want to, get the rough edges out. We could talk a bit about the strategy of that. Anton goes out for an aggressive loop into the middle. Probably gets eyes on his opponent if we toggle the fog of war. No, not quite. Not quite. He almost got there. And then he loops back to the side here. And he's heading into the area, unfortunately for him, that RogueTrdr's already hit. So we can see he's got 12. RogueTrdr with 12 sheep. Stat not going to find any more over here. Sorry, Stat, that's his other gamer tag. Anton. As I mentioned, I started doing this series because Anton's a lifelong friend of mine, going on 10, 15 years now. Ever since even really when I had only just done a little bit of commentary. That's when I got to know him, and he got really into Age of Empires lately, and he's decided recently that he wants to get real good. And so he's pursuing the path to Plat, and we're going to follow that journey as we now get to start to talk about the game. Besides just scouting and life and the pursuit of happiness. We've got 3 here, 4 actually. 4 villagers on our School of Cavalry with 3 villagers on gold. 5 on what it looks like, yeah, from the French player. So probably going to build a house here and then work on his lumber mill perhaps. Wheelbarrow, early wheelbarrow, out of RogueTrdr. If we look at the top, we can see no upgrades for his opponent, Anton, who we'll take a look at now. Building once again this twin Minaret Madrasa. Now, I did go ahead and look at the berry functions because, I'm a professional, and when I don't know something, I fix that. So let me tell you about briefly how this landmark works. When it spawns, you get 1 initial berry bush. The subsequent berry bushes spawn over 30 seconds. All berry bushes regenerate over that initial 120 seconds you hear on the tooltip just over my mouse. Then, so here's our first berry bush, and the rest will populate. And by 120 from now, that's going to be done. So all of them will be done by 6:30. What happens there is when you finish a berry bush, that berry bush will then regenerate after 2 minutes. But it doesn't, from there, basically all you want to do, and you'll see Stat do this because he clearly knows how the mechanic works, he's going to put 5 villagers on this berry bush. And he should be doing that now. If you're going to play this this building correctly, you basically want to slap these villagers on here right away. Let's take a quick look over here, making sure. Stat! Oh, he's going to lose his scout! Yeah, it goes down, and that's already he was really dry on sheep. I'm not going to say the words that are coming out of his mouth right now. I was about to, but I remember this is YouTube, and I try not to curse. Here are those villagers that are going to slide over to the berry bush. We'll talk about that instead as he slaps 4 villagers. Now, over-mining perhaps a little here. No military school down. A little bit of a sloppy opening here from Anton. You would expect that military school to be down since he's already mined that 100, 200 wood. I would expect these villagers to likely be pulled off of wood as well, because I do believe you're limited to just, you can see 2 military schools here. But it looks like he maybe only has the wood for the first one now. Perhaps he's going to build it. I want to see if we can, how do we look at his camera? I'm going to have to find the hotkey for that. If I want, we can toggle the UI back, and then we can take a look, follow his cam here. And I'm kind of curious to see what he was looking at. Okay, the military school does go down. It took me a little too long to find those buttons. I swear, I'm going to get to know this UI better, guys, if I keep doing this series. I got to give a shout out, by the way, to Mr. Glass JH. He jumped into my comments. I posted my first video in like 8 years, 10 years. This guy, mocking that I remembered my password finally. I love it. But I don't know. I freaked out, man, because it's so cool after so many years away from, doing something that was such a big part of my life, that people remember it, that people remember you for it, for all the effort and love. I mean, I really did. I loved it, and I put so much into it. It was a really special time. And, I hope, even if it's just a short session back into Blast into the Past, I hope you enjoy the few games that I'm covering, my friend here. Speaking of that game, I should get back to talking about it. Stop being so appreciative of you guys, or at least Mr. Glass specifically. Knight's coming back in for some more harass. Nice, whether it's intentional, we got to call out well, as I was about to compliment the fact that there were no low HP villagers building up here. One really does go down, but that's acceptable. Overall, I got to say, Stat's been dealing with this harass pretty well. The thing that I haven't loved was the overmining of 100 stone, the very late military schools. That's biting us. So definitely a little behind on that front. Let's go back to caster mode. We can get a clean view of where this game's at. 25 villagers to 28, totally where we expect to be at this point of the game as a French player versus an Ottoman. If we look at Stats income, he's got a couple idols, he's been building some buildings, a second outpost going down. Now you have to imagine that this is because these military schools were too late. And what I really hate here is this is going to end up costing him, I would have liked to see this be a barracks. Runs those villagers into the knights and loses one of them because of it. I think that gut reaction, oh god, so much damage here going down. 3 total villagers being lost, a second outpost being built here. I mean, this is another, we call this damage effectively, because there is, kind of the reasonable response, which is 1 outpost, and then you make a couple spearmen that you can then use to, push around onto the map, zone out these knights. But this outpost effectively is damage, because I don't see, maybe if this stable, if these horsemen manage to reciprocate some of the damage that we're seeing here from RogueTrdr, then maybe we start to call it even, because like those spearmen would be put to use in repelling these knights or maybe taking 1 or 2 of them out, these horsemen might do some economic damage. So if Anton can open up some okay, he uses the extra stone to upgrade this to an outpost. I don't think that that's necessarily a great utilization. We're going to see these much better retreat here. Oh no, 2 villagers caught on the outside. Anton didn't see them, and now we're up to 5 villagers being taken down for Stat. He's really going to have to pull something out of his Ottoman ass here to make a play, because that puts him in a really dire spot. You do some quick math, you got 25 villagers left, maybe you had 30, roughly you lost about 25% of your economy here. And you got to compound that over the extra 100 stone that really is not doing anything being put in this tower. The extra 100 wood going into this tower, a lot of the 5 villagers, the smaller eco from that. This is a brutal position for Anton right now. Okay, is there anything we can find that's redeeming for his position at the moment? I don't have a webcam up. I'm glad I don't, because that man's my friend. We in a tough spot here, Anton. We in a really tough spot. Let's talk about paths back into this. Well, let's go first talk about RogueTrdr, because I always like to think about, well, what if the other player on the side of the field here, then the player that as a caster you try not to root for people. It's good to try to be neutral, but often we have our favorites, Abe. And so what are we looking at here? RogueTrdr, you have done an exceptional job of identifying the gaps in Anton's defenses. Every time these villagers come around to the front, this scout positioning. Let's talk about this scout positioning for a second. And talk about, I keep clicking the wrong button, how beautiful it is. Because he has such a clear view the entire game of this position. He keeps hitting the same position over and over and over. There are too many knights. There is not enough eco. At this point, there is no room for mistakes like these 5 villagers sitting in this building right now. That is how excellent RogueTrdr has been at his attack. This scout that's just parked here is paying dividends because there are no units here. He knows it, and so he keeps coming in to punch. Anything else that RogueTrdr is doing, really, really well? Let's take a second to call out. It looks like he's gearing at this amount of villagers on gold. I have to assume he's gearing up to go castle. I don't really. He's pulling too much gold here, and so he really should reallocate a bit, whether it's to wood, so he can make more rams. I see he's making one now. I don't really love that decision. I think going castle and then going for the ram attack, you have such a significant economic lead. Make these veteran. Your opponent's not going to be able to push castle at the same time. Make these veteran and then just go for your death push. And really, there's no way that at this point, if you properly follow up this attack, there is no way that Anton can hold. Now let's talk about if you're in Anton's position. What do you do here, man? I'm a big fan of when you're behind, you go for the second town center. You're not gonna get away with it. You see the ram on the outside, so in this position with that kind of loss, we do see, maybe you can out micro. Horses are coming in here, great. Yeah, you're right. He gets all the villagers nice and tucked away here. Anton manages to not lose any eco on that attack. And so he's certainly learned a bit as these attacks have come in terms of, being more responsive. Ram's going to start battering down these towers now, and RogueTrdr doesn't want to wait. He says, I want to end it in feudal. And I watched this great video recently about why players don't end it in feudal. They push to castle and then they go for it. And I feel like this could end up being a great example of that. Not that RogueTrdr's not going to be able to end it, because Anton's still slipping up, making little mistakes. He's got 5 villagers just sitting in a tower here. These types of things, these are the types of things that if you're going to try to, if you're going to have to hold in feudal, you do have to have these working in your favor. But if there's a way that RogueTrdr's going to throw it, this is going to be how it is. It's these feudal pushes where the arrows just do too much damage. But Anton's army kind of getting caught up here, not engaging, things just running around. Finally, he turns and fights, but not before 2 units have fallen, and that's a solid quarter of his army. The knights fully engaging. Lots of damage on these knights. This TC doing work, and the tower doing work, even though there's no villagers. I think these villagers should have been garrisoned for that attack, because these villagers, the knights would have taken tons of damage. But too many villagers still going down. You see the corpse of villagers just riddled everywhere. This entire attack, still villagers sitting idle. This would be so much damage on this attack from RogueTrdr. So many of these knights would be dead, but this is a huge oversight by Anton, and he's just taking too much damage because of it, not reciprocating enough. And I think that this may be the beginning of the end for Anton, as his economy is now down to less than half of his opponent. And that is just going to spell continual falling further and further behind, not even factoring in the fact that he can't mine his gold, not even factoring in the fact that he built these farms and can't use them, right? So all of the villagers that are just not able to produce economy for him right now, going back in with the Sipahi. I like this engagement for Anton. But RogueTrdr intelligently pulls back. Maybe he's going to make a second ram. The archers continuing to just poke here at this house, putting them through the shingles on the top. You got to imagine that house is looking a little speckled right now. Is the ram much more viable tool to come in and deal with this structure is brought into the fray. Now RogueTrdr's going to go back, handle his economy a little bit, realizes, you know what, I finally banked enough food that I'm going to go for this guild hall, but his resource distribution is, I'm going to say it, it's rough. 2,000 gold pulled, 1,000 wood pulled right now. He's got to find a way to start spending this money, and you know, having only 3 villagers on food or on gold is a good way to go about it. Now, Sipahi Spearman come forward, pick off his battering ram. Anton's going to try to start finding some kind of way, you know, to make something that feels like getting back into this game. But you got to realize the position he's in. You know, only 1 wood right now, 1 villager on wood. He doesn't really have the ability to make any units that don't cost food and gold. Now that's a problem because he wants to go Castle Age. You saw his opponent just got to Castle Age. But with only 23 villagers, starting up Castle is going to mean it's a long way before Anton is able to start making more units. He's got a barracks, 2 barracks right now, but the only thing he can make is Spearmen. That Spearmen costs wood, and he's not gathering any wood. Now that wood he's going to try to start gathering. He's sending 5 villagers over, it looks like, to start taking care of it, but RogueTrdr's having none of it. He's going to send 3 horses around the side here to flank. He comes and hits the berry bushes, and the harass is just relentless. You look at the Spearman of Anton sitting in the center of his base. He's now going to move these to the side of the map, but that's a little too late. And we're going to see if RogueTrdr decides to strike here on the gold mine once again, because that's kind of been here it comes. That's been his MO. You know, hit from one side, then hit from the other side. Anton sees this coming, but his Spearmen are out of position. They're down at the berry bushes. He retreats the villagers from the gold mine and sends them back up. Now we'll see what he decides to do. His Sipahi, if we send back to the Fog of War, we'll be able to find where those Sipahi went. They're going to go on the counter aggression, and I love this play out of Anton because you need a mechanism back into this game. When we were talking about it earlier, I said, you know, I love to go for 2 TC, but in a position like this, it's really too dangerous. Your opponent's not going to let you get away with it. I think Anton finds the correct play here, which is to go for harass. You know you're exceptionally economically behind. You haven't harassed a single time the whole game. Your opponent might be making misplays, like sending 9 villagers into the middle of the map because he knows you haven't been harassing at all. And that means Anton is now set up to potentially kill all of these villagers. Not reacting is RogueTrdr. He's finally going to get them on the run. Now, at the same time, it would be great to just A-click these villagers because you force your opponent to multitask. You know, you don't really have to do much here. Your villagers have to run, and that's going to be that. So, RogueTrdr, let's see what he's doing. I got to actually set up a hotkey for that. It's going to be a little tricky. And I'd love to see on the opposite side of the map, it looks like he's going to build a siege workshop and get ready to start do some of that late-game play. But this was a fantastic engagement here out of Anton. Do we think 9 villagers went down? No. But he got 3 or 4. He denied all of this food eco, and he didn't lose a single Sipahi. So a fantastic engagement. He's going to turn around, try to take out this knight. He actually could have. That would have been a good opportunity there. Looks like, wow, look at RogueTrdr with the retarget onto the low HP Sipahi. Really good attention to detail here, and he's going to get a free Sipahi kill for it. Anton may have clicked on this mill. A little bit of a... Oh, no, he clicked past it. So his units are going to keep running away, but I loved that attack out of Anton. Does it get him back into the game yet? No, but it's a baby step. It's the beginning of how you might fight your way back into the game. But the thing is, he's on the clock. He's got to make more moves like that, and he's got to make them soon. Because if we switch back to his POV, he's got a big attack coming his way. He doesn't know about this siege workshop. There's more rams being built. He gets to Castle Age. What kind of a position is he in? We were talking earlier about all the money he was going to have to pour into this Castle Age. And now we're seeing the consequences of that. He's gotten to Castle Age, but he has no gold. He has 35 gold, nobody on gold, no way to reap the benefits that you have of getting Castle Age, which is you can get this veteran upgrade for your pikes. You can get the veteran upgrade for your Sipahi. Where's the stable? Here's the stable. But he can't afford any of them because he hasn't been able to hold this gold. And this is kind of where, you know, when you lose too much eco early game, you kind of wind up in this no-win scenario. You can either make units to be able to both hold your gold, hold that thought. Big engagement here that could be consequential for the game as the veteran knights note the upgrade. They're pushing into these spearmen here, and they just do not care. Those castle upgrades, allowing them to mow through these spears. Finally, the first or maybe the second knight is going to fall. 2 knights fall in exchange for Anton's entire army. Villagers being pulled off the line here to engage on this ram, but now the archers come into the fray to target down these villagers. The knights being able to hit over here. At the same time, 3 knights contesting the food supply of Anton, and there's just no options here for our green Ottoman pursuing his way to platinum. This game doesn't look like it's going to help him up. Now, if I know Anton, he's going to fight to the bitter end here, but this is a position where with just 20 villagers left, with just 10 of them on food, with really no ability to make any units, with only 78 wood and 35 gold and no villagers on either of those resources. The only thing he can make at this point is food. He has no ability to mine anywhere, and I just don't see a way out here for the Ottoman player, as all 15 villagers that are left. This is the last free villager. He's gonna run for his life, man. But the sickle falls just like the USSR. And it's the beginning of the end here, as they shelter in place for their inevitable demise. GG is called for Anton. And that's the end of this game, folks. Thanks for tuning in. It was, I was really hoping for a battle back there for Anton as he started to find his way with his Sipahi, but as it kicks us to the menu, he just couldn't find a path out of this one. We'll most likely, I'm having fun with these, but my voice isn't. It's not used to shouting over a game. But thanks for tuning in. We'll, I don't know, if I have another one, I hope to see you then. GG.